This costume is known as the Hooded Sage. I have to laugh because I'm really ripping off the hoodedsage.com, Mr. Chris Krepsick, and I'm not the Hooded Sage, just so you know. That's what he calls himself, or that's what he calls his website. I think he would laugh if you said, well, you call yourself the Hooded Sage. I don't think he actually considers himself the Hooded Sage. It's basically his business. But if you go to thehoodedsage.com, you can see a short number of his articles, and they're very fascinating. There's so much more I could tell you about, but the little amount that I know is more than dwarfed by the incredible amount that I don't have a clue about when it comes to anything to do with Mr. Krepchik, anything to do with his. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. I don't know where to begin. However, I'm told not to get too lost in meditation on videos and to try and push forward with the goal to get to the point. So, I'm sorry if you're watching this and you think that I'm taking intentional pauses and that when I'm, not talking, that it's because I'm stumped. Mm-mm, mm-mm. No, no, no. That's not how it works. Um, I'm stumped again, though. I mean, because the consciousness that I call here at the front of the brain doesn't know what the voice is going to say. This one up here is primarily an observer. The voice that comes through this observer here watches, listens to, but this observer doesn't know what's going to be spoken by the mouth. I don't know. I could talk for hours and hours and hours about the hooded sage, and a lot of times when I go to silence, it's not that I'm stumped. This witnessing awareness, um, the silence is very blissful. It's not a stumped, puzzled feeling. Um, if I was allowed to go into samadhi, which is a very deep form of meditation, um, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. Um, I'm not given to go deeply into samadhi. I'm not. But if we were, I don't know if we'd ever come out because it is incredibly beautiful. Incredibly beautiful. The feeling of a really good meditation is it better than sex? It's different. It's not the same. You can't compare them. But it is very. Oh, we'd come out of it. We'd come out of samadhi. We would. Just because. Um, we would. I'm sure we would. It's just the way it is. But if you think that if I'm walking and I stop talking, that I'm stumped. But it's not the way it feels to us here at the front of the body. That's what we call it, coming to the front. When the different characters come to the front of the body, that's where they come and they can talk. But there's a lot of characters that we perceive as back, in the back. Not even in the back of the head, but they're backwards, okay? So in relationship to being right here at the front where you see my face, I mean, the awareness, it's sometimes aware of different parts of the body, but sometimes the awareness, um, it, it perceives things that we consider the back. And in the back is a bit of a set. It's a bit of a set. And that's where we have other characters that like to hang out back there. Um, and the characters in the back of the set are not always the same ones, but there's usually regulars that come. Um, and over the years, I don't know, it changes a little bit from time to time, and sometimes it's unbelievably surprising. But I've given a lecture on my process a long time ago, and I guess I'm not going to do it again. If you can find it, I don't even know what the tag is. Uh, you could look up Bob Frizzell, but I mean, there's so many Bob Frizzells, not gonna get you anywhere. I don't know how to get it. I'm sorry. The truth is, it just happens. It just happens. I'm not stumped. I'm not stumped. When I'm walking and I stop talking, primarily I want to give you an example of someone who has got inner silence. The term inner silence comes from Don Juan Matus, a Yaqui shaman that Carlos Castaneda wrote about in his books. Um, Dr. Wayne Dyer had one of his books, it was called Getting into the Gap. And that's his words for the same thing, inner silence. He said it's the space between words, which is the emptiness. The spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle, I keep calling him Eckhart Tolle. I don't know how you pronounce his name in English. It's a German name, and he's from East Germany, the former East Germany. But he's got a book that's called Silence Speaks. That's me. I'm a silence speaks kind of person. In other words, my true nature is silent. And when I speak, it's the silence that is speaking. How can silence speak? It just does. It just does. But I have inner silence. How did I get to inner silence? Well, I read those books. The Eckhart Tolle book. Um, I've read some Wayne Dyer. I didn't read too much of Into the Gap. I don't think so. But I read pretty much all of the Carlos Castaneda books. And I had monkey mind for a very, very long time. And it took me a while, even after I heard of meditation, to really try and figure out how to do it. And I don't know if I can do silent transmission of mind. That is a book of Zen. And, but that's what I kind of hope happens if you see me walking and I stop talking in the middle of a talk. It's silent transmission of mind through my smartphone onto the this recording device that gets uploaded to the internet, and then you watch it whenever. but I'm not stumped. This awareness up here is often stumped. Yes, this witnessing awareness up here is often stumped, and but it is the silent witness. But there is consciousness that we call the stagecraft. The stagecraft is the consciousness that sets up this video, the way it goes. There's the consciousnesses of the individual sentient characters. And it's true that most of the time the ones that come to the front are Bob Frizzell, Harry Weaver, Pindar the Reptilian Draco, and then some of the other characters, very comic characters, haven't been around much lately. Vasilyfus came a little while. A new character, Christopher Isherwood, came last week, the very first time. In one of my videos, I was wearing a black hat that said Fisher Wavy, and Christopher Isherwood came. That's the first time that character has come. It was a big surprise for us. Is it the actual Christopher Isherwood? It could never be determined by me. Sometimes I hear characters come to me who are unbelievably highly recognizable Hollywood actors. It's not the Hollywood actor in the physical, but it is a complete duplicate of their engrams, their speech patterns, their mannerisms. I mean, I'm not seeing them physically, but it is the presence of the identical thing to, the Hollywood actor. Sometimes it's local people. Sometimes I get the presence of a local person that I'm seeing in the physical who is acting like themselves, and then I've got a duplicate of them that is a non-physical duplicate that I experience, and they're not talking at the same time about the same thing. In other words, I don't see the physical person talking and then the presence of the second dupe is talking, a duplicate, as the dupe is talking this at the same time about the same thing. No, they're two different copies of the same engram. Engrams are, I don't know, it was a buzzword from the original Star Trek. They said the engrams of a human scientist were used to program an advanced artificial intelligence called M5 in one of the episodes. This intelligence, the witnessing intelligence here, that it doesn't know what's going on at all. It simply witnesses. It's like it's at a movie theater, and activities are going on, characters are coming on, things are happening around the body. It doesn't know what's going to happen next, and it doesn't have access to the memories of what's gone on in the past. The stagecraft is in charge of what memories this one gets, and but the intelligence of the stagecraft knows all of the things. I'm getting a twinge of a headache up here. Okay, they want some more talking about sages, not the hooded sage, Chris Krepchik, sages in general. Sages are people who are calibrating on the scale of human consciousness. It cannot be determined. Dr. David R. Hawkins would say a sage probably calibrates over 540 unconditional love and could be anywhere above. I'll leave it at that. What else do they want to say about sages? Um, Edgar Martinez, the Jesus person, who sometimes appears as a 99% of the time he appears as a demonic. He has great personality disorders, and I think he only came to the front to talk once a long time ago, but he does come to visit me quite often. And is he a sage? Yes, he is a sage. And does he play the part of demonic, or is he demonic? It's difficult to determine. So, can a sage be a demonic? Um, that was Edgar shaking my body, saying that's enough of you going deep. And what did I get deep? I cannot tell you anything about Edgar Martinez other than 99% of the time he acts like a demon. 1% of the time he comes and he wants forgiveness. What else can I tell you about hoods? The idea of the Kundalini energy being dormant in your tailbone, and that it awakens and comes up your backbone and ends up here where you're witnessing consciousness is it a truthful thing? No, not in my experience. Are chakras real in my experience? Mm, I've never seen rotating wheels. I've never seen, well, I do sometimes see colors. Is that chakra related or something else? It's not being given to me to tell you. But I do sometimes feel like people are connecting to me at chakra points. Does that mean chakras, or it just means that I'm feeling it in my body at those points? I cannot tell you whether chakras are true or not. Oh, someone was asking me about physical reality being real. I've done this in videos before. I guess you never saw these videos. I'm not stumped. Witnessing consciousness is waiting patiently. It waits so patiently if I go and don't talk. It really doesn't mind if I don't talk. A lot of times it wish a lot of the cosmic characters would shut the hell up because all right, what else am I going to tell you about? Hmm. Well, we were going to talk about the nature of what this reality really is. It's mostly a place that we come to and we have stagecraft going on. Us. As for you out there, the viewer, um, I don't know. But the way I'm organized, um, I'm an actor. I've got stagecraft that arranges everything for me. I've got a witnessing consciousness, and the consciousnesses that come here to the front are mostly sentient characters, and sometimes they are. It seems like there is a huge backstory. There's not only my talks, but it's related to everything in your universe where you are. And it's not necessarily anything to do with anything at all related to what you're up to right now, but it is a huge, big picture. TheHoodedSage.com, Chris Krepsik, I hope I pronounced his name right. I don't know what kind of name it is. It's Krepsik. It might be Czech. It might be Czech, as in Czechoslovakia. It might be Czech. Krepsik. It's not an English name. It's not from England. He's European ancestry from the look of him. Best guess is he's Eastern European. And I'm going to guess Krepsik is a Czech name. But anyway, his co-worker, the late Stuart Wilde, in some of his postings on stuartwilde.com, I can't always find the ones that I'm looking for when I go there. Same with thehoodedsage.com. There's some of his stuff that doesn't seem to be available anymore that is really, really good. And I sometimes get frustrated. Am I stumped? Well, I'm stumped because I can't find it. But, I get frustrated because it's like something that comes to me. Go look for this particular article that I've seen in the past, and I can't get it. So sometimes I get frustrated like that because I've spent a lot of time digging, looking for this thing, multiple different search terms. Same on stuartwilde.com. And anyway, so before Stuart Wilde died, he talked about what was going on planet Earth. And, so many of his books, he talks about what's going on in the big picture world. And in the end, I'm going to leave you with one sentence. The plan is vast. Sometimes I drive down one of the roads in the town that I live in, and a sign on a commercial building says vast. I see that, and immediately I think the plan is vast. So it's very much present in my, and it's just present for me all the time. Not all the time, but I can't be all the time because I can't focus on the plan is vast 24 hours a day, 24/7, 365 a year. But there's a lot of Stuart Wilde stuff that I've read over the years, and the plan is vast. And what is the plan? The plan is hard to put it into present day terms, because when he wrote this, it was, a lot of the stuff was 2012 and plus or minus a few years, and some of his earlier works. He started writing books, I think, in the 1980s. He's got so many interesting topics that I just can't get into because I haven't explored them. I haven't been given to go there. So many interesting things. If you're new to this stuff, you got to realize I'm 54 years old. I've had a lot of years to read a hell of a lot of stuff. So if you're not as old as me, you just haven't had linear time to go through and read and read and read and read and read. And I'm sorry, that's the nature of linear reality. And I'm not given to read books hardly at all anymore. I'm just not. It's just the way the stagecraft is now. Um, anyway, as far as physical reality, what I'm giving to tell you is yes, we are experiencing what we call physical reality here. And yes, we are not experiencing the same reality. I'm given to tell you that the theory of parallel Earths is not necessarily true and it's not necessarily false. So, if it's not necessarily false, then how could we be experiencing different realities? Does it just mean that we're in different locations? I don't know. I don't know. I'm given to tell you I don't know. All I know is that when I talk to different people about the same events that we experienced more or less, and I get different answers about or different stories about what happened, it's like we didn't experience the same event. That makes me jump to the idea that we do experience different versions of our life here on what's called the globe, planet Earth. I call it a super hologram. And I believe it's very much like the holodecks of the Star Trek universe. Dolores Cannon, the hypnotist who hypnotized thousands of people during her lifetime, um, she called some of the people in your life background people or backdrop people. When I used to talk to a being known as Krishna, was it the Krishna from India? I don't know. I don't know. But that was the name that I was given. And he said it was given for me from whatever that some things that appear to be people are spirits, and some people that appear to be people are souled people. Spirits are run by Krishna, and as if they were puppets of Krishna. Souls are duplicates of Krishna. So, does that mean souls can run other spirits? A yes. The more I think about it, back in those days, it was just like a download from Krishna. Um, I wasn't given to question it. I was just given to, you know, the silent witness witnessed what was being given. And as towards truthfulness, well, I wrote about it a little bit in my books. A Good Hook by Bob Burrows on Amazon, Kindle book. It might be some of what led to my other book, I Am Something Something New by Bob Burrows, also on Amazon, a Kindle book. Anyway, back to backdrop people in Dolores Cannon. Another spiritual teacher that I was very interested in earlier on, when I was first interested in spiritual things, was Joel S. Goldsmith. And Goldsmith's work in general is called The Infinite Way. And Goldsmith would have a really hard time with what Dolores Cannon was putting out about backdrop people. And I think he would have a very hard time with what this Krishna entity was telling me about some humans having souls and some of them being simply spirits around you. Goldsmith talked in his book, The Mystical Eye, that that there is one being and it appears as a multiplicity of beings. As was his favorite word. One being appearing as a multiplicity of beings. And he often said, if things had gone sideways for you personally, or people were complaining to you and they needed spiritual healing, he always said, meditate. 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 And then in his book, The Mystical Eye, he said, what you want to do is remember it's one being appearing as a multiplicity of beings, even the dark ones. And if something has happened and someone needs a healing, meditate. I call all these different stories that I've given you from these different people reality boxes. In other words, they're maps used by different people. And do I use them? No. But I know about them. I use stagecraft. And that's how my videos appear, and that's how I go through my whole life. It's the stagecraft. Is it going to change? There is no guarantee I'm going to be a stagecraft type actor in 10 minutes. But this stagecraft has been going on for quite a number of years, and I don't know. That's just the way it is right now. So as for the physicality and the monkey mind people are people who do not meditate and do not have inner silence. And as far as enlightened beings, if you're talking about the scale of human consciousness, enlightenment begins at 700 on the scale of human consciousness. And as far as enlightened being getting people who are at 80, that doesn't make any sense to me. People who calibrate at 80 are in highly negatively charged environments within themselves. They are essentially demonic. So if you're an enlightened being, what do you want to have to do with demonics? Enlightened beings could be considered bodhisattvas in the Buddhist philosophies, or whatever you want to call Buddhism, Buddhist teachings. So what would a bodhisattva do if it saw the demon Mara? Well, I don't know exactly what happened to Mara, but if you know Buddha, before he became the enlightened one, the awakened one, he meditated under the Bodhi tree, and Mara, the demon, was always after him. Anyway, if you're an enlightened being, are you trying to convert the demons to enlightenment? Possibly. Are you helping people get away from demonic activity? I can't say. I'm not connected to the Buddha. I'm not connected to anything to do with Buddhism. Someone said that they were really into Odin and Thor. At one time, I had the experience of choosing who I wanted to sit with. There was Odin's group. There was a Hindu group. And there were the Nagwal group. Odin, I don't know if it's the Odin that you experience, but the Odin that was presenting itself as being Odin, King Odin, disliked me intensely. The Hindu group seemed like a carnival. And I know there's some wonderful Hindu gurus that I really love. But that wasn't what was there for me to choose from. It wasn't for me to choose one of these enlightened gurus. It was a carnival atmosphere, and I didn't choose it. So, and because Odin disliked me intensely, I wasn't going to go and sit with Odin's group. So I went with the Nagwal group. Nawal, depends on how you pronounce it, which is Don Juan Matus, Carlos Castaneda. That's strange. His name is Carlos Castaneda, and I got Naga. Nagas are like serpent spirits. Well, in our stagecraft, in the back of the set, when I was pointing back behind me, it's not like this art piece back here. It's in my perception of what is I considered back in the back, where the stagecraft is all. It's not even there. It's just the back room. The bar, which is part of the back set, is called Slytherin Bar, after the Harry Potter house of Hogwarts called Slytherin, which is, snakes are Slytherin, and that's why they got the name Slytherin Snakes. So is that why I got Carlos Castaneda? Anyway, I went to sit with the Nagwal group, and is that who I am? No, I am an actor, and I just play a lot of character. I do like the Anthony Hopkins version of Odin in the Marvel movies. He's a wonderful actor. He's always enjoyable to see. I don't think there's anything that's come to fruition as far as filming Carlos Castaneda's books. It should be done. It should be done. Someone was going to try and do an animated version of it, and they had a GoFundMe page or something. I don't know if it ever got off the ground. Um, and as far as I don't know what I was going to tell you about my experience with Krishna, the Ascended Master, Sananda, the Ascended Master, Saint Germain, Hilarion, Madame Blavatsky. Oh, when I put on the yellow hat that looks like a chief, indigenous chief, I'm sorry. I mean, if you want to call it the chief, you can call it the chief hat. But when I put it on, I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't choose. I mean, even sometimes when I write down a list of bullet points of things I want to talk about, I start talking and I might look down and see it and say the words. I might look down, see it, and not say the words, or I might completely, out of my focus, is that bullet point list of things. But it might get looked at, 12 videos down the road. So the sense of timing is not done by the witnessing awareness up here, or, the eyes at the front. It is done by the stagecraft. What is the stagecraft? It is just the way I explain my creative process. Um, the other things that I want to talk about. That's all for now. Thank you for watching. I'm Noted Sage. No, I'm not. Chris Krepchik is. His business is called the Hooded Sage. His name is Mr. Krepchik, or Krepchik, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but if you go to www.thehoodedsage.com, that will bring you there, and you can see a small number of his items. If you want to join his course, he's very expensive. You can go to stuartwild.com. Mr. Krepchik apparently is the webmaster of that site for the late Stuart Wilde, and there is a considerable amount of information available there, but Stuart Wilde used to call them jottings. I don't think there's as much on there available to me as there once was, and I don't know why. I did have a bit of interaction with another one of Stuart Wilde's the best word I could come up with was former associates, Justice Barrymore, who used to be sometimes talked about on Stuart Wilde's website, and I think sometimes he got a guest column. Justice Barrymore is a most very bizarre person. Very bizarre, very bizarre, very bizarre. I don't know him well enough to be able to give you any indication about anything to do with his personality other than bizarre. I had a remote healing done by Chris Krepchik and Richard Tyler many years ago. At least they said they did a remote healing. Maybe they traveled through the astral and found me, and they said that they did some work on me. I paid the money for it. I was very interested in healing at those times. Did they heal me? Well, they said they did some things, and I did feel some things were going on with my body that particular time, so I'm going to tell you, yes, they did do some work on me. Or they didn't do any work on me at all, and everything that happened to me was done by something else. I don't know how else to explain it. Not the stagecraft. Not the source. In this version of it, it is done by whatever does things, the doer. Oh, back to the physical reality. I like to use the consciousness model for everything. And I just gave a lecture last week about how ridiculous I think it is, the idea that very advanced consciousness evolved from dead matter. So if you're still stuck in that idea, and you're familiar with, I don't know, it's consciousness. Everything is consciousness, and consciousness does not arise from dead matter. The other way around is correct. What we consider dead matter, like asphalt on roads, originates from consciousness. Consciousness comes first. You can prove it to yourself because, before a subdivision happens in a city, a subdivision of homes, first the architect looks at the land, the lay of the land, and plans where the drives are going to go, and then the individual plots of land are sectioned out. And then, probably a different architect after the subdivision is designed comes in and, starts designing homes to be built, and with all the blueprints and etc. And then all the tradesmen come in and build the home for you. So, what happened first? The consciousness that was going on in people's minds came first before the subdivision in the homes. That's the way it works, folks. Stuff happens in consciousness first, and then if it's going to appear in our physical reality, it happens after the fact. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? That's not the way I'm going to talk about it. It's the way I just gave it to you. That's the way it is. Consciousness came first. Consciousness did not arise from dead matter. I'm not thinking. In my quietude, if you think there's things spinning around my head that I'm choosing which ones, and I'm stumped which topic to talk about, you are incorrect. I am experiencing inner silence. It's not like there's 10 things on a pick list and I'm deciding which one to pick. It doesn't work that way. If it works that way for you, you should